Hello and welcome to the first episode of Hayward and Stuff podcast. I'll be honest, this is the fourth time I've attempted to do this fucking intro, and I don't think I've got another one in me. It's basically about two blokes, their experience growing up, being completely lost in the process after quite a fair bit of heartache and confusion, figuring out a little bit more than they did. To say that we're completely self-aware would be a lie, but to say that we're both exploring and trying to become better would be right on the nose. Two sides of the same coin. We're very different and yet quite alike. We're both incredibly beautiful. I'm so glad that you're here listening to this or watching this. I've been wanting to do this podcast for quite a while, so it's all a bit exciting. And yeah, fucking enjoy it, yeah? 1, 2, 1, 2.
The next thing you know...
You get your testicles checked regularly?
I mean, I check them regularly, yeah. Don't you?
Okay, well, this is the first episode I've ever done of Hayward and Stuff.
You want to do an intro?
No.
But you should do an intro.
No, I do the intro afterwards.
All right.
Because I'll have figured out what the fuck we're talking about then. And then I can
that's
do
a
an
good
intro.
point. Yeah.
And so then I'll talk to the camera and I'll be like, I'm excited today to be talking to Ben about checking my testicles and washing my penis.
Yeah.
With just water.
That was unexpected. I didn't really mean to go down that rabbit hole.
Here we are. You've been here for 3 days now, Ben.
It's felt
It's
like
the first time we've spent so much time together.
Mm.
How's it been? How's your experience been? Because we've been on a journey these 3 days.
We haven't argued as much as we've argued.
We've had a few.
Yeah. Normally it's a little bit like, not surface level.
I feel like whenever we have a disagreement, we go very quickly to that place where we're both kind of angry.
I think so.
It's very like, if from a third person perspective, I think it'd be really clear that we've both struggled with anger issues.
I think people would feel uncomfortable in the room with us, actually.
Yep.
Why do you think that is?
Because we don't have much control over ourselves in those moments when we get heated.
Like, I don't realise until you mention it. And then I have to stop and reflect.
Same.
And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you trigger me
Right.
You trigger me quite hard as well.
Yeah.
Which part of me loves. And I've during these 3 days I've been questioning, like, why does it trigger me so much? And I think it's because I see a lot of myself in the way that you are.
Yeah.
And it is interesting and it helps me. Like, it really helps me. And the thing that I really appreciate is that we can do it, and you have moments of awkwardness, right? Like with anyone that you're still getting to know, essentially.
That's right.
And having just had an argument, and then like,
is it over?
Staying.
Are we done?
Yeah, right. What, was that a deal breaker? Is it all ruined now?
He doesn't love me anymore.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
And to put on top of it, because we drank the first night, the second day I was hungover, and I feel very vulnerable when I'm hungover. And you ask, they're not actually very provocative questions, but they feel provocative. And when I say provocative, I mean like, how are you? Is everything okay?
I asked you, how are you feeling?
It's like you, but then when you say things like, oh, you seem a little bit down.
Right.
I take that so offensive.
You
like
do.
I get really riled up by that question.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't. But it's not fair on you that I get that reaction.
But the thing is, like, I learned this recently, is that often I used to say, oh, you're angry, or oh, you're down, as if I knew what you were. And then I got taught, I read it in a book actually, you should say, you seem upset, or you appear upset, as in my experience of you is this, because I don't know what you're feeling. So I was told I should ask that question, you seem down, or you seem thing, because it gives you an opportunity to sort of disagree with that perspective.
But what if the other person knows that?
Yeah.
And then it just becomes like the first statement. Because when you say, oh, you seem angry, for me, it sounds like judgment.
Yeah.
Because I know what you're doing. You think that I seem angry, and you think I'm angry, or you think something.
Well, I think that
so I react the same way as if you just went, why are you angry?
But I think I'm perceiving an anger, but I also know I could be wrong, which is why I say seem, right? Because it's like, I could add more. I could say, from my singular perspective of narrow mind, my appearance or my perspective of you is this. I can add all of that stuff in there as well.
Yeah.
But
why do you ask the question?
why?
Yeah.
I think it comes from a place of care and interest in how you're feeling.
Right.
I don't know how to say it in a way that, but I don't think the way I say it should trigger you, actually.
No,
it
I
does.
think you're right. It shouldn't.
But it comes from a place of going, I've seen this person and they don't seem like, I've seen them when they're happy and they're not in that place. So I want to ask them about it because maybe they want to talk to me about it. Or maybe it's something I did. So maybe there's an insecurity. I'm like, I better ask just in case I fucked up.
Yeah. Well, that's that. And this isn't you. This is a massive me thing.
Yeah.
But that insecurity triggers me.
Really?
Which is like, I don't like it about myself, but I'm also like, it is what it is. And for sure, it's because I have the same insecurity, right?
You worry about upsetting people and then
I worry about upsetting people, but more
Yeah.
so I'm worried that I've done something or said something to upset them. Like I've had a negative effect, but I would never ask. Like if someone goes quiet
Why not?
around me, because I know how I react if someone asks me.
Oh, right. So because you find it difficult to hear it, you don't want to ask it.
Okay, so if we have to switch the scenario. So say I came down to London and I was staying at yours for 3 days.
Yeah.
And on day 2 in the afternoon, you suddenly go quiet.
Yeah.
There would be an insecurity on my part, like, shit, why is he going quiet? What have I done?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't ask you at risk of you getting vexed by the question.
Right.
And so what I would do is I would just leave it, and my kind of viewpoint is like just give you space and wait and give you the option to like come out if you want.
But I like being
just-
asked.
I know.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because like,
Well, that's cool. I mean, that's part of getting to know each other, right?
right, because let's say you have upset me
Yeah.
and I haven't got the strength to say, Hayward, I want to talk to you about how you upset me.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it takes a bit of time to kind of get, even when you know someone for ages, right? Sometimes you haven't worked out how you feel, but sometimes when someone asks you that question, you suddenly think, oh, you know what? I have been quiet. Why am I quiet? And then I can say, oh, I'm recharging. It's been a big day. I just need like 20 minutes
And
to
then
chill.
and then you feel better by having said it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Funny because I mean I know, for example, with Briggy, if she's gone quiet, I know there's a multitude of reasons why, and so I know that if I don't ask her, that doesn't help her. I know that she would prefer if I ask and give her not permission, but like the opportunity to voice it, even if at the risk that it might be me, right?
Yeah.
But that's because I know her and I know that that's what she likes. But for me, when I go quiet, she knows just to let me be.
Yeah.
Because if I go quiet, 90% of the time, it's an internal thing that no external influence can change.
Yeah.
I used to get angry in the morning if someone was like, "How did you sleep?"
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, how fucked up is that?
That's
Well, I mean, it is what it is, right?
complicated to understand.
Yeah. And so like in past relationships, like really sweet people.
Every morning.
They'll be like, "Oh, how did you sleep?" And I'll be like, it's like, you're setting me off for the day here.
Yeah. That's a you thing.
But yeah, of course it is. But
Yeah.
and I unpacked it and I realized that it's because I don't know. I don't know yet. Is that me or you?
Sorry, it's me.
No, it's fine. It gives me a second to check.
Yeah. Hang on, let me answer that.
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, I'm recording a podcast.
I'm very
What the
quiet
fuck
on
are
this
you
side. 1 2 1 2 1 2.
doing? Oh, no, you're not. Hey, babe, we're actually recording
We're
right
loud,
now. Can I
loud.
call you later?
You're on it now. You're on the podcast. Put it on next one.
Should I put it next on you're on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
microphone? Kate, say hi.
Hi, Kate.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for getting involved.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, babe.
I'm happy. So you don't want to talk about my spreadsheet that I just made then, probably?
I mean,
Bedspread.
it's quite. It seems unlikely right now, doesn't it?
Go for the second option.
Do you think that talking about the spreadsheet right now is the right thing to do?
Bedsheet.
I was going to go, but then you told me on the
Spreadsheet.
microphone.
Oh, spreadsheet. You two are so business.
Yeah, she likes spreadsheets a lot, doesn't she?
Sing bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. I'll put that on silent now. Actually, I thought I had.
Have you still got the little red light indicating that you're recording?
Yeah,
Because these fucking Fujis will only record for half an hour at a time, so we
really?
need to make sure that we
I'm at the 12-minute mark. I think I might shift myself a bit. Like,
Yeah, do what you need to do.
I really don't like the posture I have when I sit down. So I'm like, I get a bit self-conscious about the way I look.
Has that always been a thing?
Not always been a thing. But like
You seem well groomed. Ever since I've known you, which is what, 2 years now?
yeah.
You seem to be like, you look after yourself in your appearance.
I don't
is
mean
that a fair
to.
statement?
I don't mean to.
Your
though.
beard is a designer beard. That takes effort and time.
It really takes like no effort at all.
Is it just the setting on your shaver?
Yeah.
I always fuck mine up.
I literally leave it on 6 and then just.
I do
waff.
mine on 2 and do it from a distance.
Why? That's such a terrible idea.
I just try and like trim it like a bush from a
Why?
distance.
Why'd you do that?
I don't know. I've never really figured it out. But part of my ADHD is like, if I don't know how to do it, I'll just do the easiest option.
Yeah.
And I'll never.
The easiest option is you do it on the highest setting and then you keep going lower till you find the one that you like.
Yeah.
And then you just never touch it again.
Yeah, right.
It's
right.
really simple. So now
Yeah,
I just know it's a
shave,
6.
but I shave my pubes on a different setting.
Yeah, obviously. You don't want
So I have to change them.
this kind of close shave. Someone's going to get face rash. That kind
Yeah.
Yeah. But you use a different razor head for.
Exactly the same one.
You use the same one. Shouldn't do that.
Crabs in my nostrils.
Okay, well, so we're talking about waking up.
Yeah.
Let's go back into that. So like, so let's say you had. So did you sleep well? Were you someone who slept well, or did you sleep badly? And that's why that question.
I've had sleeping problems my whole life. And,
Right.
but it's not so much. It was more the fact that I didn't know yet. You know, when people ask you, how did you sleep?
Yeah.
I'm still in a state of waking up.
Right.
So my brain, I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
don't know yet.
And because you're asking me, you're giving me too many questions too early.
One question.
And it's too much too soon. It's like, and I wake up happy. You know how some people wake up really grumpy? I wake up in a good mood.
Right.
But don't start with the fucking, like, I find
It's
it.
not that good a mood though, is it?
I
If one
find it-
question turns you into a fucking
I
monster.
find it intrusive. And I've got a thing about intrusive questions, I guess.
But it's interesting that you think that how did you sleep is an intrusive question.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an intrusive question.
I guess it's because, like, my internal dialogue is so sensitive that it's like if you're going to start rocking shit first thing,
Right.
asking me questions about how in the bigger picture, it's probably because it's like, you know, when someone asks you, like, how are you? It's like, yeah, I'm fine. And then it's like, yeah, but really, how are you?
Sure.
It's like, not so great. And then it's like, okay, so how are you? That third one is how I feel when you ask me, how did you sleep?
Right.
And it's like, it's too much.
But what's
And
too
this-
much about it? This is what I don't understand, right? You've
Because
woken
it's-
up
yeah.
and this person's like, I really hope they slept well. I'll ask them how they slept. Or I know they don't sleep well. I'll see how they're doing. But that's come from a place of love and care and interest in you.
Yeah.
But it sounds like your frustration with sleep is the thing that you're battling against.
The frustration is I haven't been awake long enough to know the answer. Also, I mean, I don't really like chit chat. So you know when you know someone and you
Start a podcast.
but the podcast isn't chit chat,
That's true.
or at least I wouldn't want my podcast to be chit chat. And I appreciate that sometimes you need a bit of chit chat just to like get the juices flowing.
Sure.
But you know when you meet someone that you kind of know and you do the whole spiel, that whole routine, I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
Because it's like we know each other better than that.
Yeah.
It's like I'd rather, like, when you were in the train, you were about to arrive. I was messaging you talking about social anxiety. It's
Yeah,
like,
you
This
were.
is my safe place.
Yeah.
Like I feel comfortable with this, and that's me getting myself warmed up to meet you. Right? It's like let's go to deep. I like deep,
Yeah.
and I gravitate towards people that go there, even when I don't agree with them. And because you asked me yesterday, how did you sleep? And I didn't trigger me at all because I've passed it. I've gotten over it. I've gotten over it, right?
You can ask me that question. I'm
Like
done.
I've gotten over it, and I now appreciate the question because
Yeah.
I see it as care.
It is care.
But for the longest time, it bothered me,
Right. Right.
which I find.
But I think
find
I had the same thing. So there are questions that I think when you get asked them, you get frustrated by, but not because the person's asking you anything. Like when I'm in a bad mood and someone asks me, "Are you okay?" Like it somehow reinforces the bad mood. Like they're trying to say, "Can I help?" I think.
I find it the most annoying question.
Why? Why do you find it so annoying?
You know, even as a teenager, I remember like there was a core group of us, like 6 of us.
Right.
We used to smoke a lot of weed, and there was this one guy who was always quiet, and he was quiet, whether it was us or whether there was loads of people, whether we were stoned, drunk, whatever. He was just the quiet guy. And every now and then there'd be like new people introduced into the group, and they'd always go like, "Oh, but you're a bit quiet," and it's like it pissed me off so much because he's fine, he's all right being quiet,
Just quiet guy.
He's just a quiet guy, and for whatever reason that he's quiet, but you have a problem with it. This person that's going, "Oh, but you're a bit quiet," it's like, why do you feel the need in front of a group to essentially go, "You're quiet"? That is never going to help the quiet person be louder, be more upfront, be more, like, imagine if it's because they're painfully shy or they're socially anxious.
Yeah.
To then go, "You're a bit quiet, what's wrong?" "Oh, well, actually, it's because this, that, and they're not. It's not going to help."
I think,
And that used to fuck me off
but
so much.
there's two ways of looking at it. I think there's the thing that the idea that the question is absurd because it's like a paradox. This person's quiet. I'll announce their quietness. They're not going to get louder, right? Like, "Oh, I am quiet. You're right. I better start speaking." It's not going to happen, right? So, but also you could say, like, why is that person mentioning it? And I think a lot of the time people's intention is positive. Even if they word it in a way that upsets you or you find difficult, their intention isn't always meant to be negative. Like, they're not trying to bully the kid.
You're right.
They're trying to say, like, "Oh,
You're
it's
right.
okay to speak."
It's
they just don't know how to say it.
It's their lack of awareness,
Yeah.
which used to trigger me, right?
Right.
Like, it still fucks me off objectively looking back when I was a teenager.
But you're asking them, why don't they know the right way to communicate with this child?
Now, in our 30s, if you're with a group of people, to say to someone like, "Oh, you're a bit quiet, what's wrong with you?" You should know better. If you want to ask them in private, if you genuinely care.
Right.
But like in that environment, you're not there's nothing constructive with that. You're just reinforcing their quietness. I can't imagine any scenario where you ask the quiet guy, "Why are you being quiet? What's wrong?" Or worse, when they go, "Oh, you're a bit boring tonight," and then they go, "You know what? You're right. Actually, hold on. I feel amazing."
Sorry for being so boring,
Do you know what I
guys.
mean?
Get the pinata out.
But then I guess that's because
Yeah.
you know, I've dealt with social anxiety right up into my mid-30s.
Yeah.
But like crippling
Yeah.
on the inside. Everyone else saw a very different version of me. So like, and I was good at masking it, and some people just can't.
Sure.
But they haven't got those tools, and I guess I just felt for them really.
So you're protecting them with your anger.
No, I was protecting myself.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, they
I
didn't.
was like, how dare you do that to our kind? And I would never say anything.
Right.
If anything, I'd try and be diplomatic and be like, don't worry about it.
So you fought their battle for them then?
I tried to.
Is that a good thing?
If it wasn't at risk of my own, as a teenager,
Right.
at risk of my own ego, right? Like I don't want to make myself look
Because
like a
your
twat.
peer validation at that age is like, it's everything, right? It's everything.
No, yeah, and I was the popular kid.
Yeah.
I was the popular kid. Like loads of people used to come to my place because we had a bungalow, and then we had on top of the bungalow.
Kids hate stairs. So it's the best place to go, isn't
Stairs
it?
are bullshit. No, but they had what do you call it? Like they added a room upstairs, but it was separate to the
I thought you
house.
said it was a bungalow.
It was. We had a terrace on the top,
Oh, right.
and then they added a room,
Yeah.
but it was separate to the front entrance of the house.
Okay, so they put like a bungalow on a bungalow.
My mum shoved me in the upstairs room, separate from the house.
Classic.
Perfect as a 16-year-old, and so we all came back to mine.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, we all used to just get wrecked upstairs.
So how do you have social anxiety and be the popular kid? How's that work?
I had to be drunk or stoned.
Oh, right.
I had to be drunk. I had to be stoned if it was with my immediate friends. With
Yeah.
my immediate friends, the social anxiety wasn't really there. It wasn't actually so much stoned. It was getting stoned made it worse.
It's like an awful
It was
cycle.
just drunk. It was
where
just
you have
getting drunk.
social anxiety and then you're inviting a load of people to your house.
Yeah.
But why would you do that?
well,
what a cycle is that?
And this is it, like, because I had a desperate need to be validated, right?
Right.
And I had a desperate need to be popular and a desperate need to socialize.
I had the opposite.
But I couldn't stand being social when I
Right.
was sober because of my insecurities.
I had
Just
social
out.
anxiety. I didn't want to be popular. I didn't enjoy the idea of being popular. I liked the fact that I had like 4 friends and those were my friends. Like I only got popular around college years, 17, 18. I kind of had my glow up and it was like I kind of came into the world and was like, became popular. But I really enjoyed the years where I wasn't. And people used to
Really?
invite me out to things. I used to enjoy being able to say, no, I'm not going.
Yeah.
And then people will give you a hard time for that. Oh, but everybody's going. You're just going to sit there on your own. Why are you going to do that? And I like saying, well, because I don't really enjoy hanging out with you that much.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy going out. I've done it like 2 or 3 times. I think the conversation's ridiculous. I think you're all kind of mean to each other.
What was it about social interactions that you didn't enjoy then?
I didn't understand how to do them very well. So like people would get in these groups, all these boys would get in a group and they would all talk about stuff. And I felt like I had no ability to communicate about those things. I was interested in science and rocks and how waterfalls are made. And you can't rock up on a Saturday night as a 13-year-old and tell people about basalt, right? They're not interested. Yeah. Right? If you don't know about, I don't know, some football game that happened, you're not cool enough to turn up to the group. So people would invite me. And I would think, but you don't want me there. Because I'll talk to you about basalt. And then you would think that's really boring.
And you were aware of this.
Yeah. And I'd rather read a book about rocks and have a good time with it than turn up, not be able to communicate with you, try my best to communicate, you think it's a bit weird, and then invite me out the next weekend, which is sweet that you're inviting me. Yeah. But it just didn't make any sense.
But did you grow up having like friends?
Yeah, yeah.
So you had that because there's a need there for people growing up to have like a
There's enough kids that like rocks in the world that you can have your 3 friends who are interested.
So then what changed when you got older?
I think
your jawline.
Yeah, right. My voice got deeper.
Yeah,
and everyone was like, "Whoa, this
Holy
guy!"
Shit. And did you like that attention or that reaction?
I, in a way, I loved it, but I didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, right.
I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah,
like I didn't understand why people would come and like flock to me or like want to listen to me or like follow me. This is something I never really understood, and so in a way, I didn't like it. I didn't like the attention because I didn't know what to do with it. But at the same time, it feels good when people like want to be around you, or they tell you you're attractive, or they tell you that like let's go see what he's doing. Yeah, it feels wonderful. But at the same time, I was like, but why are you here? Yeah, but do you want to talk about Latin? Right, that's all I got.
So what was that journey like then?
Well, I learned to play the guitar. That's what helped, right? So then I got in like a rock band, and then finally I had something that was like modern, cool enough that I was cool about something.
And you felt it was validated, like you lent into it at that point.
A little bit. But at the same time, like we played some gigs when I was like a 17-year-old, and sometimes there'll be loads of people there, and sometimes it'll be empty. Right? No one turned up to some 17-year-old's band, right? Yeah. If like your 8 friends weren't able to come out that night and they couldn't bring their friends, no one bought any tickets. You played to an empty club. But I really enjoyed those times. Nice. I enjoyed like the empty room. It didn't bother me that much because I enjoyed playing guitar so much. I was like, fuck it, I don't care if you turn up or not, right? I'm doing it for me. Yeah. But like doing that gave me this sort of like validation that like, oh, I could be cool. And then like becoming cool became like an identity. Yeah. So now I was like the cool guy, right? And then that was just what the problem was, that as I got older into my 20s, I was still like this cool person. And you have to constantly be cool, otherwise you lose that identity. So you're constantly having to try and be cool to stay cool, because what is the definition of cool? It's what everybody decides at the time is cool. No, and you could fall off that pedestal any minute.
Yeah, it changes.
Right?
But then by that point, the identity became important to you.
It became really important.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's who I was known as. I was like this cool, long-haired, don't give a shit rocker, right?
And at that point, you put value in what other people thought.
Of course.
Like it changed.
But then I didn't know what else I was except what people told me I was, right? So then for me, I'm playing guitar, I'm playing gigs, I'm drinking, I'm like, oh, these girls are interested in me and stuff. Like that's became who I was known to be and who I thought myself as. Yeah. So I had no choice but to lean into it, because I didn't know what else to do. And not because I was like confused, what do I do now? Who am I going to be? I'm like, well, that's who I am. So now what do I have to do tonight? Well, I have to go get drunk at a bar with all these people, drink all the Jack Daniels I possibly can, so they see me drink all the Jack Daniels, because that's what the cool guy does, right? Yeah. And I never realized it was toxic till I realized at the end, oh my God, my life's really going off the
Did you feel at any point that you had to like fulfill an expectation from people?
I felt like it was like, I never felt like people were trying to get me to do it. It was like a vacuum that exists. I just filled it because it was like, why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I go and be the cool person, drink all the beers, like win all the arm wrestles, all that kind of like ridiculous fake macho stuff, right? Yeah. Play the gigs, like I don't give a fuck, nothing can touch me sort of vibe.
And how true to yourself do you think you were being? Like, how much of like who Benjamin was then in your 20s were you actually you?
Yeah, it's really hard to know.
Do you know what I mean?
It's really hard to know.
I only realized this the past couple of years because I did a lot of looking back on what I was like as a teenager, and I realized that every Friday night I knew that I had to get a certain level of drunk before I could see the people that were excited to see me. Because every Friday night I'd go out and people would be excited to see me because I was this hyperactive clown.
Right, you're the hedonist that everyone's like.
Yeah. And like, you know, charming and funny. And I don't say these words proudly, but that's what I had to be.
Oh, 100%.
And then it got to a point where I just lost myself so much being this character. And then whenever I wanted to stop drinking, I was really torn because I was like, if I stop drinking, I lose the Haywood that I thought everybody loved.
Right.
Which I had all the value in. That was the most important thing.
Yeah.
And it was only really when I started loving myself, I was like, it doesn't matter what everybody wants.
I mean, I hated myself, I think.
Oh, yeah,
that was part of the charm I think people found in me. For real, right?
That's some rockstar shit. That's
that self-destructive, long-haired guitarist who's like smashing back Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Like, I remember walking out of a gig and someone was like, "What's that on your arm?" And some woman had written, like before I had the tattoos, right? It was lipstick. They'd written their phone number on. And like, what's her name? I was like, I don't know. And I felt so cool saying that. Yeah. I was like, I don't know. Probably did know. I just wanted to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was like
you easily fall into that.
Yeah, I did.
All the bravado and the bullshit.
Total bullshit.
Let's pour ourselves a drink. Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
No, I know it's a fucking joke.
Yeah. Why do we do it? It was just because like it was what you. It was like it was the ultimate. Like that's how you got ahead. Yeah, but it was like it was everything back then. How you could be cool and everyone was like impressed by you. You were like what everyone wanted. It was the Andrew Tate version of success. Like you were the rich in every way. You know, beautiful people.
What do you mean by that?
Like you were the rich in material goods. You know? Like you had people wanted to be around you and beautiful people wanted to kiss you and, you know.
Can I tell you something?
That's what it was, right?
I will never forget. This is going to sound... I don't even fucking care what it sounds like. I was 20 years old and it was a Friday night and I was with my younger friend. I think he was only about 16, but I kind of took him under my wing.
How old were you, did you say?
I was 20.
20.
And it was Robert, bless him. He passed away in his 20s. But really, really nice guy. Anyway, we were going to this rock bar in Fuengirola, Costa del Sol. And we were walking up the street and I was like, 20 years old. I thought I was the Don. And as I was walking up the street, these two girls screamed, "Ah, it's Haywood!" And I was like, and it's never happened before and it's never happened since.
Obviously.
But in that moment, and I remember who the girls were. They were a little bit younger and, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just felt so fucking powerful.
Yeah, right.
I was just like, here, I'm here.
Correct.
And the fact that I was next to like the 16-year-old boy who, I had under my wing, and I was just like,
Must have
that's
looked
right.
up to
That's
you.
right, Rob. You hang out with me, and you can get it. And the irony is, like, the most insecure, the most like, I had no idea who I was. I was just like clutching at straws, man.
Yeah,
any kind of affection, I was just, but of exterior. Cool.
You were
calm,
like, it must be
collected.
going well. Everybody likes me.
Yeah, right.
Which is not
whatever I'm doing, I need to, and I remember like when I would go into those bars where everyone would be, I would up the hyper.
Yeah.
Because they liked that. They liked the silly, quirky, blah, blah, and it was all bullshit. Like I have hyper tendencies, but not to that extent.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's all, it's fake.
Well, I refer to myself now. People ask you, who are you? What do you like? And my immediate response is, I'm the reformed hedonist, right? I'm a reformed hedonist.
What's hedonism? I don't know the word.
So hedonism, as I understand it, is like you do things just for the pleasure of doing them, right? As in you live your life to feel good. So anything that will give you pleasure, you go and do, right? And in my later teens and early 20s, that was just unhinged.
Yeah.
But now, I'm more aware that longevity is a thing, right?
Yeah.
And legality is a thing. So a reformed hedonist, as I describe myself, is like I still like doing all of that cool, make yourself feel good, but in no sense of the word do anything that's ever going to actually cause you pain.
Yeah.
And like new hedonism for me, and this sounds really, really lame. It's ice baths and like Shakti mats, right?
What?
Shakti mats. You know,
What's Shakti
I
mat?
think that's the right word.
You
It's
Londoners have some funny things happening.
It's actually it's like a Middle Eastern thing, so right. It's like a mat with all these spikes on it, like really sharp spikes.
You do that?
I lie on that, like 3 or 4 times a week. And the pain, it's like that tattoo pain when you get like that first piercing.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that.
There's a meditative quality to it. Yeah.
Right, but then after about 10 minutes, they say 5 minutes. It's not. It's like 15
Yeah,
minutes.
he's full of shit.
It's so painful.
He's full of shit.
Eventually, the endorphins kick in again, like when you're getting tattooed, and you feel that kind of like warmth vibe kind of hit you, and it gets rid of all these aches and pains. I don't know if it actually medically gets rid of that shit.
Does it? Is
feels
there a
good.
therapeutic aspect to it because it forces you to not concentrate, but like all those other thoughts go away because you're concentrating on where you are.
Right, you're
like
breathing,
you're focused, yeah.
and you're thinking like, "Oh my god, my skin is tearing underneath me."
Yeah.
And I'm a heavy guy, right? I'm like 95
Fat.
kilos now. You could call it that. So it's sort of a bit worse for me because all the videos I saw of people doing it, all these yogis, they're all like slim and everything, right? They look great. And then someone like me who's basically like of a human version of mashed potato lies on it, and oh my god. But what I've learned in my change is that like I now run towards things that suffer in my change. So as I've changed, right, as I've grown, as I've developed as a man.
I've never heard that as I love in my change. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
When did the change begin?
I think it must have been my early 20s. So I used to be a very angry man, right?
Yeah.
And one of my biggest, I don't have that many regrets, but one of the biggest ones is I lost my girlfriend at the time. She left me because she just couldn't deal with me anymore. She was like, I can't. Right? There was one time I got angry because I think she left a cup out with a tea bag in it. And I was like, why you throw the tea bag away? Like a completely unreasonable response.
Not about the tea bag, is it?
Nothing to do with it. It's entirely to do with my unresolved trauma.
Absolutely.
Correct. And
Mummy.
I think she was like, I'm done here. Very reasonably so. Correct decision for her, right?
Yeah.
But she left me, and then I realized she left me because of me. I was the problem.
It's a tricky
not
one
the
to-
relationship. Not her. It was all me.
It was actually because of you.
Yeah.
It's funny when you have that realization where you're like, oh, I'm the toxic one.
I'm the problem.
I'm the one that caused all those arguments.
And she'll
Or definitely contributed.
she'll listen to this, but she'll watch this at some point. And by the way, if you hear this, I love you. You're one of the greatest humans ever to have lived, and I miss you desperately. But she left me very reasonably so. But I had to rationalize the fact that I'd lost the greatest thing that had ever happened to me because I was angry.
Yeah.
And so I'd managed to lose the best thing in the world for the worst by doing the worst thing.
It's a funny concept, isn't it? That you can have, I don't know how many relationships you've had, but I mean, I think I've had enough.
Yeah.
And some of them, some of them were pivotal points in my growth.
Right.
And they would never know that. Like, they will never know how much of an impact the fuck up of that relationship helped me grow. But equally,
Your fuck up of the relationship.
Yeah. Equally, we won't know how important we were to some other people's fuck ups because there'll be other people where they'll walk away from the relationship and they'll be like, they'll have looked at themselves and be like, actually, they made some, because the majority of the girls that I've had relationships with, it wasn't all me.
Sure.
That's not denial.
Yeah.
Toxic finds toxic. Do you know what I mean?
We haven't agreed on this topic 100% yet, have we?
I absolutely believe that toxic finds toxic. Because if toxic finds non-toxic, the non-toxic gets rid of it. The non-toxic doesn't.
The powerful non-toxic.
The experience non-toxic.
Yeah.
I mean, I firmly believe like an 18-year-old getting into their first relationship who's really grounded, not a toxic person, hasn't got that much trauma,
Yeah.
could easily end up in a relationship with someone who's
like I was.
like us.
yeah, when we were back then.
I just think that they won't end up being with that person for 3 years before they figure it out.
It was like 2.5 years.
But then she had some stuff to figure out herself.
Yeah,
Otherwise, she wouldn't
have
have
to
put-
leave me.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, love is a weird thing, right?
Yeah.
Because you can fall in love with someone that you know is wrong for you, and for some reasons you can't end it.
But there's also there's
a-
so many positive things about that person that you kind of end up balancing in your head, right?
You justify it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like when you're in a relationship that you know isn't going to work for you. But this is me. And then 3 years later, you're like, I really need to end this.
yeah,
There have been relationships in my life where I've known in month 1 that it wasn't going to work out.
yeah.
And it's taken me years. And I'm talking about living with them.
Yeah.
And talking about
Oh, I've made the
future
mistake.
stuff.
Yeah.
And it's taken years before I've gone, wow.
We're shouting every day.
And the
Why
reason-
are we talking about babies?
And often the relationship, it's not that I've ended it, it's just dissolved so much
Yeah,
that it's like, what are we doing? It's like, you end up sabotaging it so much that of course you're fucking ending it. There's nothing left.
Yeah, 100%. But so she left me, and I became aware. Well, I was aware, but like I became like acutely aware that actually the only way I'm ever gonna have a successful life is that now I was like I guess early 20s, 21, 22 or something, I guess. Maybe it was 23, around that age. I was like, I have to change. I can't be an angry person. I can't be vengeful. I can't use anger as a means of expressing myself, which is basically what I did. And so I had to, on my own journey, just start to change that. But it took years and years and years.
Was that
do that.
a heartbreak? What's that noise? Oh, was it when that relationship ended? Was it like a heartbreak?
Oh yeah, I chased her for 6 months to try and get her back. Like, and I don't think she enjoyed that very much. But like, I couldn't
let it go.
Well, I didn't want to. No. Like, why would you want to lose like the person you thought you were going to marry and stuff? Why would you want to lose that?
And like when you look back on those relationships at that age,
Yeah,
they're so intense.
that's right.
Like my love for Briggy is, like I've spoken to Briggy about this before. The love that I have for Briggy is like no other love I've ever had, right? It's the deepest, strongest love I've ever had. But the love that I've had for relationships in my 20s were like so wildly intense.
Yeah.
And so like you completely lose yourself in the love. And then you look back on it and you're like, oh wow, you were just in your 20s.
Yeah, there was a lot of hormones going around.
Yeah, and you have no idea.
Yeah,
Falling in love with someone when you're not self-aware is bizarre.
yeah,
Compared to when you're self-aware and then falling in love.
That's right.
And growing with someone.
That's
and,
right.
And the love growing with someone.
I agree.
This like unaware love thing it can be exciting, but it's like you kind of almost just letting it take over and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
One of the things I found difficult in my change was,
I love this.
thank you.
That might be the title of this episode.
Yeah, was like having to reframe what I thought of masculinity as well. Because when I was in that late teenage stage and early 20s, I was seen as a very masculine man, right? One of the words people used to call me was rugged, right?
Oh, yeah?
That's a phrase they would say. Benjamin's very rugged, right? Or and that was like, okay, so I'm a masculine.
Did you like that?
Yeah, who wouldn't, right? Who wouldn't?
Well, I don't know.
I loved it.
I don't know.
I felt like a lumberjack, right? I was like, yeah.
But then did you? Sorry, go on.
Right, so I felt very masculine, but then that anger was very much tied to the masculinity as conceptually, right? Because
yeah.
that's how I saw it. And then when I had to get rid of the anger, I was like, what is that then for me now? Like, how
Am I a pussy now?
right, something along those lines, like, do I not stand up for myself, right? Do
Yeah.
I not stand my ground like a man should? And having to rediscover what I decided my version of masculinity would be was a complicated relationship with my gender, I guess.
Yeah.
Because for me, masculine men were like what you see on stupid fucking TV, like superheroes, big muscles.
Stick up for themselves.
Yeah, no one runs them over. They tell people what to do. They're in control. They're authoritative. All that kind of like nonsense, right? And then realizing that actually, like, my new version of masculinity was actually more about affection, about service, about support, about, you know, a completely different, like, actually being like the second most important person a lot of the time was the new version of that. And like being last in line for food, right? That was like a phrase I got in my head.
I love
like,
that.
Be last in line for food. Like, don't be the first person to grab the plate and go grab it for yourself. Because I don't think that's what my new version of masculinity was. It was like, actually make sure everyone's provided for. Like, you don't have to be first. Actually being last is a good thing. And that was a really complicated new relationship of like still feeling masculine while not being like this physically powerful individual. That was hard.
I think I had a similar experience with allowing myself to be vulnerable, and I've got this thing now where I find to be truly masculine is to be vulnerable, and the more vulnerable you allow yourself to be, that's and some people can't get their head around it. If as a man to be vulnerable, that's a true sign of being masculine.
Yeah.
Because you know exactly who you are.
Yeah.
And this like misconception of vulnerable being a sign of weakness is like such a flawed concept, really. Because by being vulnerable, you allow so much possibility. Like not just in relationships, but in like friendships and just with giving yourself grace, really. And like I've noticed with meeting new people, and I don't know if it's part of my oversharing as an ADHDer, but like being vulnerable very quickly allows other people to be vulnerable as well. It's like you give them the permission to be vulnerable. It's like
a whole different version of power.
It's almost like it is.
Yeah.
It is. And it's like saying you can meet someone, you say something vulnerable and you're like, because this is a safe space. And then it's up to them if they lean into that, because some people haven't got it in them. Like,
you create the psychological safety to talk about those things, right?
And I've got this, and I need to get over this as well. But I warm and enjoy the company of people that can be vulnerable with me,
right,
very quickly.
So we had this point actually yesterday where I got really, I spoke in a way that was really kind of unreasonable about some aspects of spirituality, right? And then you called me out on it.
Yes.
Like you basically said, in a way, I don't like the way you speak about this, right?
Yeah.
And then I really enjoyed the opportunity to listen to what you had to say, or like get a chance to sort of like listen to your view. That was a difficult moment for us. It was really difficult because it was like, I think you felt like I was being really unreasonable to the whole concept when actually I had this very niche view.
Yeah, right.
But the way I spoke about it was quite unreasonable.
Yeah.
And then you had the strength to talk to me about it. And then I felt the desire to become vulnerable, like, tell me what I did wrong. I want to know.
Yeah, right. Because I felt the disconnect. I was like, you were coming across like you had these really strong views that weren't actually what was going on. It was more a presentation. The presentation was wrong rather than the core belief.
That's right.
And then we opened it up and it was other stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, but that's why it's important. But it takes vulnerability to be able to bring that up. And then like your reaction to it was just fucking beautiful. It was like,
tell me.
Yeah. And
I want to know.
And you've thrown me off at points where, you know, when I do this thing where I'm talking about, for example, Bella, like my daughter.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, I'm talking
beautiful,
too much.
By the way, she's just wonderful.
And I'm talking too much about her. And then you go, no, I'm interested.
Yeah.
And it takes me a couple of seconds to go, and this is my default. I'm like, is he fucking with me?
Really?
Is he being sarcastic? Is he lying? Yeah. And then I'm like, no, you have to lean into it and believe him.
Because I'm really interested.
And that's not like a thing on you at all, because, you know, I warmed to you the first day that I met you because I saw vulnerable aspects.
Yeah.
Which isn't weakness, it was strength.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can fucking gel with that guy. and we've had a lot of disagreements over the times that we've spoken.
That's right.
But it's like mutual. It's like cool. I don't know, man. It's hard to put into words.
You know, it's actually when we've disagreed about stuff, I like, especially on like the big thing, or like it's been a big thing. It's been like, ooh, this is like a real touchy subject. I got scared, but I was like, oh, we're not going to be friends anymore because like of this thing. And then about 3 minutes later, I'm like, obviously we're gonna be
It's
friends.
fine.
It's gonna be okay.
Adrenaline is a fucker.
Yeah.
Because you're in fight and flight mode. But when you're
Right.
friends and you like love each other, it's like, oh yeah, but there is no fight or flight.
Correct. Yeah.
There's nowhere to go. We're stuck with each other.
What am I gonna do? I'm gonna have to talk about it.
But it's nice, and I think you can only do that when you've reached a certain part of like maturity or self awareness.
I think so.
Because I think in my 20s, like if I had like certain disagreements, I'd be like, "Fuck that guy."
Yeah.
You know, like how dare he disagree with me?
Yeah.
Because I take it as like a personal.
Well, like you
thing.
look down on them. Well, what an idiot!
Yeah.
They don't know what I know.
Yeah, that's more a you thing, but yeah. definitely. But it's a different like presentation of the same thing.
Yeah, I think so. But like in those moments where we've disagreed, and like I've enjoyed the ability, actually, and it's hard sometimes to be wrong, like to just openly realize that you're in the wrong. That's something that I've become far more comfortable with. The idea that I'm deeply fallible, and that's something again, like as you're growing up. Especially in the way I viewed masculinity, was like the sort of almost like a all-powerful, all-knowing kind of individual, right? And like I was a smart guy, and I was able to walk through a lot of the academic stuff. So I felt like, oh, I must be really smart, right? I must know loads of things. But actually, the switch to realizing how little I know has been really nice. So I have this new belief in my head, and I don't know who I heard it from. So credit to whoever's the super fucking smart person that came up with this. But I like this idea that I walk around in my head with 1,000 incorrect ideas. Like every day I've got 1,000 wrong ideas. And each conversation I have with somebody is an opportunity for them to tell me something, and I become 999 incorrect ideas. Because there's no way that today, I got it all right. Right, morally, intellectually, there's no way I got it yet.
Yeah.
But the idea that I walk around and people will help me see a better version of whatever's I've got in my head is something that I really get excited about. So when I make a mistake, I always ask, like, tell me, explain it to me.
Yeah.
Not because I want to prove that I'm right, but I want to like find out that if you found number 999, I can make it 998. And I like that idea of someone being willing to tell me something I don't know. Like I've learned so much from you in the last few days. That's something I really enjoyed. I'm not a parent. I don't know what it's like to look after a child. I don't understand what is good parenting, right? But you've been so open and honest about how you see
How we're doing things.
how you do things, right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting is like I've managed to pick up so many things from my own adult life based on the things you're teaching a 4-year-old.
Absolutely.
Which I really enjoyed. So I'm going to take some stuff home, speak to Kate, my partner, and be like, hey, there's some things we need to do that are way better.
Or just even like just to discuss, because sometimes like the way that me and Briggy do things are so like West that sometimes not everybody agrees with it.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you appreciate it so much, because I'm always very, like inside, I'm self-conscious about talking about it.
Why?
But I feel like I have a duty.
Why do you feel self-conscious about that?
Because I don't want to come across like, I don't know what the right word is, like I know better. I don't want to come across like I know better. I want to come across like we are trying our best and growing always. And where we are now, this is what we're doing and why.
For each of the things that you often you talk about why you do a thing. So one of the things you talked to me about was like not shaming, right? That was a topic you brought up.
Not shaming and not praising.
Not shaming and not praising. And then I stood there, I think we were in like the metro at the time, and I was saying like, I'm confused. Like half of my leadership skills is me praising people, right? And people say I'm a great boss, I'm a great leader, often because I give praise. And then you're telling me, nah, man, that's all wrong. What I liked when you said that is then you were able to give reasons why. Not to say that like, I know how to do praise, I know not to do praise, but you were able to articulate the benefits and the deficits. And that stops you from sounding like you know better. No, you're providing like some actual evidence behind why you believe this thing. And I can agree or disagree, or I can decide how important that evidence is for me personally.
Yes.
But you're not dictating. You're saying this is the thing.
And this is why.
And this is why.
So many people miss out the why.
They miss out the why.
Yeah. What makes them miss their why?
It's really helpful when you're like, oh, by the way, the reason that we do this It's for these reasons. And then
The
I'm
reason I do this is because I said so.
because I just know fucking more
which
than you.
is a type of parenting skill, right? Like,
I've heard that in the past.
you know when. Oh no, I don't want to go too much into parenting, but you know when kids go, "But why?" and then the parents go, "Because I said so."
Classic put down.
It's
Classic.
like, yeah, because
Use it at work every
because
day.
you asking why is irrelevant to me. It's because I fucking said so.
I've asked your daughter Bella why a few times in response to some of the things she said, and it has thrown her a little bit.
Yeah, I
Like, she's
know.
found it quite uncomfortable.
Yeah.
When I ask her why.
I know it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah,
I
like
love
she
it.
said earlier. So you said you can't play with us, right? Earlier, but she was saying that like we're gonna play this game, but only like Mama and Papa can play with me. You can't. You have to stay here.
That's right.
And so I asked her why, and she had no answer.
Yeah.
She was like, "Well," and then she was clearly quite awkward.
I
about
love it. You know, the reason why I love it is because me and Briggy, the way that we do things is as parents.
Yeah.
And we will create a very safe environment for her. And we will never like intentionally antagonize her because we need to be her safety.
That's right. Yeah, I see that.
But mature adults absolutely can do that.
Right.
Because she's got us. So she's safe to then explore those difficult questions. And that's why when you do it, it's like, and inside I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But it's like for her, it's gold because she's having to.
She's made a
having to-
statement.
She's having to think about questions that
Back it
we
up.
would never do it. We won't do it to her because we have to be the safety.
Right.
And you know, today when we were like, this isn't podcast stuff now, but when we were when we were at the bouncy place and you guys were playing, I was like, she's never done this with another bloke, like playing in that way.
Yeah.
And
it's
it
very
was-
safe and very kind of like
She would
intimate.
She would never have done it unless she felt safe with you, which goes to show that even with all your jokes, and the way that you are with her, which isn't well, it's a little bit provocative, but for her, it's especially like, what is this? She still felt safe because I mean, I feel like she feels the energy.
Well, I'm kind of
She understands.
This is the wrong word to say, but I'm kind of like flirting with her a little bit, right? That's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
like I'm being a bit
exactly.
cheeky and a bit like flirty with her.
Yeah.
And she's a bit like, what
It's
is this?
provocative, but it's good, and she's like,
But he seems to like me, but he's sort of teasing me a little
and
bit.
he's safe, and I mean it goes without saying that the fact that she sees that we're close and that you and Briggy get on like that speaks volumes for her.
Yeah.
But like she also she can read the room. She feels the energy.
Yeah.
Because even though
This guy's a safe guy. He's allowed to chill on the sofa.
I don't understand him, but I know he's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
and now he's asking me difficult questions. Why is he
Yeah.
doing that?
and it's good. And I mean, she can give it as much as she gets it, right? Like this evening, what was that statement about family or something?
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
she basically said, you were standing in the doorway of her bedroom,
Yeah.
and she said, "Oh, leave me in my family, and you can go in the living room."
But I really liked that because
too.
actually, like, it
great.
occurred to me. I went and fell asleep on the sofa, right? Like, me and Vader just like fucking conked out.
Yeah.
But what I really liked was I thought, you know what? What she hasn't had recently is like Mama, Papa, Bella time.
Yeah, right.
It's actually really important for the three of you just to be together without some intruder there all the time.
And I think that's exactly why she said it.
Right, and I suddenly thought, you know
that's
what,
exactly
mad
what she-
respect, because no, I shouldn't be there all the time. You do need that little group of
and she's
That's
used to that
important.
being a daily occurrence,
Right.
Because you've been here 2 days. That's why with the dog bingo on day 1, it was like Ben will play dog bingo. We need
Yeah.
Ben to play dog bingo. I need Ben to play dog bingo. On day 3, it's like just Papa and Mama are gonna play dog bingo, and it's like fair enough.
But it made me
'Cause
so happy when
she's
she said it.
Yeah, me too.
That's why I asked her why, because I was hoping she would say, like, I want family time. She hasn't managed to articulate that yet,
No,
right?
because she doesn't. It's still subconscious, right?
Right.
But,
She
but
hasn't-
the question's beautiful because
is.
she's gonna think about it.
Right. And then the answer is because actually it's great having you here, but it's so different. I actually want to feel the people I know and I love.
Yeah.
I don't really know you.
And so just to throw a spanner in the works, can you imagine a parent style where you would go to the child, "Oh, why are you being so mean to Ben? Just let him play," and you would then bring you into the room and play against all of that. All of that
That makes me
beauty.
uncomfortable if you were to say that.
Of course,
I felt more comfortable not being included than if I felt forced included.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed the idea that like you were having your moment, the three of you as a family.
Yeah.
and like I wasn't part of it. That made me feel comfortable.
Yeah,
If I was sitting there and you're like, I don't really want you
And,
here.
and I feel like it's because it's authentic.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can't argue with authentic. If you feel like upset about the authenticity, that's fine. But that's because of something that you're dealing with.
That's right.
It's not because of the situation.
That's right.
Nothing wrong with authentic.
Made me feel good about myself that I didn't feel hurt by it as well.
Nice.
Like it's actually hard when like you don't want to be rejected by a child. Right? Like I have RSD, so this is rejection sensitivity disorder. I think it is. Yeah. For like
Which is a horrible word, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not great, but it definitely is a thing.
I have it.
Oh yeah, so much. I get triggered by so many things. So I said that I was going to get you a glitter bottle.
Which you didn't.
No, I didn't. That's
Why-
one
why-
of it's one of the challenges of ADHD is you have a lot of great intentions.
Did you bring the peanut butter chocolate?
I actually bought that for you.
Did you eat it?
No, I didn't eat it. It's in the back of my car.
Was your car's not in?
No, I was going
Newcastle
to drive up and then I got the train
and left it.
So I need to send it to you
So it's
in a
melted
package.
and
No, it's been kept very, very well in good condition. Yeah, it's been in the boot. You see, not much sunlight gets into it.
What car? What's the car?
It's a VW Golf.
Oh, not even the Jag.
Not even the Jag. I'm selling the Jag. You know, I'm selling the Jag. I have.
I was gonna say at least it's in a Jag.
I have to get rid of that car because it's a dangerous item. So what I was saying is that I was going to get you a glitter bottle. What a glitter bottle is, right? It's very helpful for those of us with emotional dysregulation. What you do is you get a bottle, you fill it with some glue and some water. And varying the amounts of glue and water is important because what you then add is food coloring. So I have one which is blue and I have one that's red. And then you add glitter to it. And what happens is you then shake the glitter bottle and like a kind of snow globe, the glitter falls. And depending on the amount of glue you add, it depends on how long the glitter takes to fall. And what happens is when you're in a really emotive state, you give the glitter bottle an almighty shake.
Wait, let's put it in context.
Right.
What's happened for you to pick up the glitter bottle?
Anything.
No,
Poster's late.
is that a trigger?
All I need.
Someone's asked me, "How did you sleep?"
How did you sleep?
Glitter.
you wrench the glitter bottles out, right? Yeah. How are you feeling right now? You seem down. Are you okay? Right. A question like someone interested in how you're feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But you seem angry. Are you angry
Whack
right
out
now?
the glitter bottles from my
Why are
pockets.
you so angry?
Yeah, what's wrong with
Something
you?
like that. What's wrong with you?
Essentially, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. Why are you
Broken.
incorrect? What you do is you whap out the glitter bottle. You give it a shimmy, a shake, right? Yeah. And then what happens is the glitter goes all crazy. And then slowly it starts to fall. And what happens as you're watching the glitter is as it starts to move less and as it starts to fall, you get locked into it because you have that ADHD hyperfocus.
You're forced to focus on one
Right,
thing.
because of all the sparkliness. You're like, whoa. And then as that glitter starts to slow down and starts to fall, what you find is your emotions fall with it. And so you start to settle down and you become more rational.
You don't slowly become resentful of the glitter bottle.
No, you love the glitter bottle.
You do?
It's a wonderful thing. Like I find in my hardest moments, I reach for it because I know that it's such an incredible tool to help me
ground yourself.
Right. And even though I don't like the idea that I have to look at glitter, I do. And I find it absolutely shifts my mindset.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. I appreciate you caring about me.
And I appreciate the
It's good.
hypothetical pretend glitter bottle.
I will commit.
Okay, Ben, we're gonna finish it off.
We should follow. We should finish in a way.
Benjamin,
Yes, my darling.
cheers, me.
Cheers, darling.
I just want to say thank you, not only for becoming a really important friend in my life, but for being my pancake episode of Hayward and Stuff.
Shout
podcast.
out to Nikki.
Who the fuck is Nikki?
Nikki, who the fuck is Nikki? Nikki is a wonderful human who.
I feel like we need to redo it. Like, slagged off someone really important.
She'll be so proud if she ever found out that she's been called out on the podcast. She's
Shout out to Nikki.
Nikki, for the terminology first pancake.
Thank you.
So proud of you.
But also just for bouncing with me as a human being and for genuinely being your authentic self when it comes to disagreeing with the shit that I've got to say.
Yeah.
Because
It
I
is
can't
shit.
stand it when people agree with the shit that I've got to say
Yeah.
when they don't agree with it.
That's right.
Because I can tell.
Thank you.
What else have I got to say about the episode that we've just talked about? that could be poignant?
Very little.
I can't remember half of it. I hope that we do.
You have to listen to it back and then
I
redo it.
hope we do a follow-up.
Maybe. I'll think about it.
We'll make it bi-seasonal. So
When you say bi-seasonal, do you mean twice a season or every other season?
every other season.
Oh, okay.
Twice a season.
Well, I know, right?
That's half the podcast.
Right.
Or
Right.
If you only do like 8 episodes a season, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
Have you got anything, final words?
Yeah, I've got a few final words. I want to say that I love you dearly. I like that I think we agree on like 70% of the material that we discuss, and we disagree on 25 to 30% of the moment in time.
Passion.
With deep passion. And I really enjoy the ability to have a friend who I care about deeply that's willing to just tell me what they think. And like even call me out on stuff they find inappropriate.
Offensive.
I feel like I'm with, well, there's a few people in the world where I can actually be with and love and also grow with. And I really like that. So thank you. It's a real pleasure.
Thank you, mate. Yes.
There, brother. Please don't include that because I feel deeply uncomfortable. I don't want to be involved in this anymore.
Okay.
I want everyone to know that my views are different to Haywood's.
I'm going to keep it in, but I'm going to
blank that
I'll
word.
take out the audio.
Bleep.